you can use the Infragistics word library for ASP.NET to basically take any kind of data from wherever you want and create real actual Microsoft Word documents and files and save them to disk, dump them into the response stream, or any other place you wish to persist them and present them to the end user. So in this particular example, what we've done is we've written some code to essentially iterate through the rows and cells of the grid and create a Word document. So if I were to just click on export, let's just take a look at what it looks like. So I'm prompted to save or open. So how about we just directly open this, and notice that it's a Word document that pretty much mimics what's in the grid. So the Word API is pretty much, for those of you that are familiar with our Excel API, so it's essentially an assembly that you add to your application, and then you basically reference the namespaces and you instantiate classes, such as in our Excel library you create workbook objects, you add worksheets to the workbook. Very similar to that type of programming model. The Word library is pretty much the same thing. You reference the namespace, you reference the assembly, then include the namespaces, create the classes, instantiate them, and then you start adding objects to them and populating them with content. If we were to take a look at this code here of how this works, I'm just jumping directly to the page's code behind. So at the click of this button, we just, for this example's sake, placed the event handling code here instead of abstracting it out. But again, this is a sample to make it easier for you to learn. So we create a Word document writer, and then what we do is we pretty much call the start document method. So usually there's a start document, and this should be an end document. If I go all the way to the bottom, right here, end documents. So usually you start an object, you populate the object, and you end the object. That's the pattern. Then what we're doing is setting some table properties here, like alignment, colors and styles, border style, different properties related to the table. Then here's how we create the header row. So in other words, what we're doing is we're setting this up as header row. So in other words, just another row in the table in the Word document, but if you set the isHeaderRow property to true, it treats it a little differently, so it looks like a header. Then some more properties based on styling for the header. And then what's going on here for each row of the grid, what we're doing is we're scraping the column header text and adding it to the cells for the header row. But if I go down here, notice that this method is where we abstracted and made a little bit more reusable and more elegant. So we start a table cell with the cell properties that we defined, then start text, add text, and this is the actual string that gets passed in, and ends paragraph and ends table cell. So we're putting paragraphs of text inside of the cell. And then if we continue down the program flow, we just iterate through each one, and then we end the table, because that's it, the end of the table, then we end the document. And that's basically how this works. So again, there's a lot of different type of objects that can work with that you can use with the Word document, and this is just another value add API and library that Infragistics includes across the board throughout all the controls that we have, the .NET controls, and you could just incorporate this along with your other export file types that you can get your hands on from Infragistics, such as Excel and PDF.
Infragistics. On the web at infragistics.com.